All right, so we all know about IQ, right? Intellect. And of course, EQ for emotions. But have you ever heard of SQ? Today, we're diving into something called spiritual intelligence. And honestly, it might just be the most foundational one of all, the real missing link for why some leaders knock it out of the park while others, well, they just don't.
I mean, it's a puzzle you see play out all the time, isn't it? You've got these leaders who are just brilliant, super high IQ, they're charismatic, they connect with people, great EQ, and yet they still make these calls that are just short-sighted, or even worse, ethically questionable. So you have to ask yourself, what's going on here? They've got the brains, they've got the emotional chops, so what piece is missing from the puzzle?
Well, the answer is pretty simple when you think about it. They're missing a compass. And that's exactly where SQ, spiritual intelligence, comes into play. Think of it like a true north, a higher guidance system that tells our other intelligences where to go. It's not just about asking, hey, what can we do? It's about asking the much bigger question. Why does any of this even matter?
Okay, so what is this thing really? Let's break it down. At its absolute core, SQ is your ability to tap into your deepest values, your real sense of purpose, and use that as a guide for your life. It's all about making sure that the things you do every day, your actions, your decisions, aren't just effective, but that they're also authentic, that they actually mean something to you.
Here's a really cool way to picture this. Imagine your mind is a computer. Your IQ and your EQ, those are like powerful apps you've got installed. But SQ, spiritual intelligence, is the operating system itself. It's the Windows or the Mac OS that runs the whole show. It's what directs those apps and makes sure they're all working toward the right goal. Without that solid OS, even the best apps are kind of useless, right? They just float around without any real direction.
And this little comparison just nails it. IQ, that's your what you know, the data, the facts. EQ is your how you connect with people, how you manage relationships. But SQ, that's the big one. That's the why. It's the reason any of it matters in the first place. It's literally the engine of meaning that drives the whole vehicle.
Okay, I get it. This might all be sounding a little abstract, a little out there. So how do we bring this down to earth? How do we make it practical? Well, the good news is, researchers have actually broken SQ down into 5 core components. And these aren't some mystical ideas, they're real, practical skills that literally anyone can understand and work on.
Right, so these aren't just vague concepts. They're tangible things you can actually build. First up, critical existential thinking. That's just a way of saying you're willing to ask the big why questions about life. Then there's personal meaning production, which is all about finding purpose, even when things get tough. Transcendental awareness helps you see the bigger picture, beyond just the day-to-day. Conscious state expansion. That's about using things like mindfulness to broaden your perspective. And finally, and this is key, it all leads to virtuous behavior, acting with things like compassion and integrity.
So at this point, you might be thinking, hang on, isn't this just a fancy name for emotional intelligence? And that's a fair question. They're definitely related, but they are not the same thing. And the difference is absolutely crucial. Let's take a look at how SQ actually sets the stage for EQ to do its job.
Okay, check this out. Let's say you have to deliver some really tough news to your team. Your EQ is what helps you deliver that message with empathy, right? To read the room and be sensitive. But your SQ is at work long before you even opened your mouth. It's what made you ask, is this message true? Is it ethical? Does it align with our purpose? See the difference? One is about how you deliver the message. The other is about the integrity of the message itself. It's delivery versus source.
And when leaders really start to work on their SQ, the payoff is huge. I mean, it's profound. It all starts with having this deep sense of meaning and purpose. That purpose builds incredible resilience and boosts your mental health. And from there, it just cascades. You develop more empathy, you make better, more ethical decisions, and the end result? You become a leader who isn't just effective, but someone people genuinely trust. Someone who builds things that last because they're focused on people.
And here's the best part of all. Spiritual intelligence isn't something you're just born with, or not. It's not a fixed trait. It's so much more like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it gets. It's something you can actively develop with practice. So, the big question is, how do we actually do that? What's the workout plan?
Well, it comes down to a few key disciplines, things you can build into your daily life. It all kicks off with cultivating self-awareness, through stuff like journaling or mindfulness. Then, you got to live your values. Really consciously align what you do with what you believe. From there, it's about actively practicing compassion and taking time to seek that inner guidance through quiet reflection. It also means connecting with something bigger than yourself. Maybe that's nature, maybe it's meditation. And finally, it's about learning to make peace with adversity, seeing challenges not as roadblocks, but as chances to grow.
So if you take away just one thing from all this, let it be this. Without SQ, all our other talents, our IQ, our EQ, they risk becoming hollow. You can be super efficient, super smart, but without that why, it's all just empty. Spiritual intelligence is what gives real substance and meaning to everything else we know and everything else we do.
So I want to leave you with a question to chew on. Just take a second and think about your own life, your own leadership. How is your inner compass, your SQ, showing up for you right now? And maybe even more importantly, what's just one small thing you could do, starting tomorrow, to make it even stronger? Thanks so much for joining me.